Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, welcome to another week in review show here on the Flex Network. I gotta give you a little throwback there with that WCW little intro right there for you guys. As we are back here on the Flex Network, where we will be talking about what has been going on in the world of professional wrestling and everything else going along with it. But before we get too far, you know how we do this every week. We are live. Man, that gets fun every time we do it. Yes, we are live. I am the SnowMan. And to say that what has been going on, of course, with everything in the world, figuring we can give you some form of distraction, some form of entertainment, some form of just conversation. So come on in and enjoy this party that we're going to have here. A lot of things been happening in the world of wrestling. And you know what? Today, I'm even going to do one better. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been happening outside of wrestling in the sports world. So, yeah, that's kind of weird for me too that I'm talking, granted it's not this isn't the NFL talking stuff, that we normally do, the NFL show that we talk here with Flex Mike and Cowboy Cam. We're not talking NFL, but there's been some big developments that have been going on, so figured we'll touch base a little bit with that as we go along. But let's get the big stuff out of the way first with what has been going on. Recently, there have been more WWE releases. As of today, we found out that Curtis Axel's officially gone. He's been released from the WWE from with what's been going on, the cutbacks. So we had another cut down today with Curtis Axel getting the boot, and there's been not anything official yet from at least from WWE side, but there has been another cut release of, well, granted, not really a cut or release, but it's Cain Velasquez has been is gone. He's not with the company anymore. That's what we're hearing. It's not official that anyone's been posting, but Cain Velasquez has gone from WWE after his one-time stint at Crown Jewel, getting his butt whooped by Brock Lesnar. And yeah, that for the amount of money that they paid him, you figured, let's just get rid of him, cut him down. Another big name that has surprisingly not really been released, but more along the lines of furloughed of what's been going on. Esteemed Stooge member and very highly in one of Vince's tight knit groups. Stooge member Gerald Briscoe. Yeah, he is. There's been rumor that he was released, and then apparently he came out and was like, "No, I haven't been released. I've just been furloughed." Um, so I don't know who's been writing that, but I'm telling you, I've while I'm not working, I've been furloughed. So hope to get back soon, so we can get back to work. But yeah, a lot of things been going on. The other big story out of this week, from last week, is that with W2K21 being dead this for this coming year, 2K needed a game, and well, WWE and 2K needed a game to come out with because they're not going to bring back 2K or W2K21 for this year. So what are they going to do? Well, they made an announcement that there's going to be battlegrounds. It the way it looks, it's more like an arcadey. If you remember, not really. I mean, not like arcade, but it's kind of, instead of being realistic, like W2K and all the other ones, that last couple years. It's more like WWE All Stars, but thrown in with uh just a little like the 3-on-3 NHL game. If you guys remember that came out couple years or several years ago. It's kind of like that feel with the more like cartoonish anime or cartoonish feel to it. But there, yeah, that game's gonna be coming out uh in replacement of the 2K series. Hopefully that 2K 2022 is going to be um a lot better revamp next year so that hopefully a lot of this, bad publicity can get out of the way with everything that's been going wrong with WWE 2K video game series, and it can get rejuvenated and come back stronger than ever next year. But yeah, other than that, that was essentially the big news coming out of what's been going on. Let's get into some wrestling, like actual wrestling. What's been going on? Raw this past week. Yeah, a little bit of that Monday Night Raw hitting up. We had a lovely 6-man tag with Cruz, Mysterio, Aleister Black taking on Andrade, the U.S. champ, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory. And, it was a good match. Gotta give it that. It was a good match for what they're trying to do with these guys, trying to keep everything, together, with trying to keep the US championship, doing something other than just, appear. And oh yeah, we were getting some love, my main man over at EVCC Baseball Trojan, Corey, yeah, Snowman, I love you. Yeah, you enjoying the show, man. You know, this is what we do every week, gotta love that you're out there watching. So gotta love you, man. Um, and yeah, so I mean, with everything that's been going on with the U.S. champ and trying, at least keeping him relevant and everything what's been going on, it's good to see that they're putting, you know, guys that you haven't really been seeing, and everyone that's going to be trying to go into the Money in the Bank ladder match this coming in 10 days. We are 10 days away from climbing the corporate ladder at WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. So that's going to be even more fun, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Um, so again, this 6-man tag was awesome. It was a good, start with Raw. And then, of course, later on, we did get a one-on-one U.S. title match with Apollo Crews taking on Andrade. But unfortunately for Mr. Cruz, he suffered a leg injury and he has been pulled from the Money in the Bank ladder match and was not even able to continue in the U.S. title match. So I don't know what's going on with that, if it was a legitimate injury or it's, just storyline. But, I hope it's not a leg injury, but it's just trying to figure out what they're going to do with this. It sucks for Apollo because, it kind of gave him some traction, from what he was normally doing, just, being on main event, not even wrestling. And this whole thing's, with not him being on the card itself and not even being participating in the Money in the Bank ladder match that he earned, or well, that he, won and got entry to, that kind of sucks for him because now that just pushes him back down the card. It's like, you know, you were at least going to be a part of a, well, a top event. You're going to be one of the, in the ladder match, something that's very well viewed and well liked, the Money in the Bank ladder match. And now you're just getting squashed back down the ladder pole, which sucks. I hope that Apollo is like, you know what? It's content, but I kind of need to get into more, I need to get a championship opportunity. The last time I actually have not held a title for this company, which, I mean, it's really sucks for this guy. He's getting like the short end of the stick for what's been going on with him. And yeah, it's just, really bad thought process with someone who's very talented with Apollo Crews. So, yeah, that's my whole thing with Apollo Crews and getting not really a good push, a good, even an opportunity, a great opportunity for, even if it was just, to have a good moment at the Money in the Bank ladder match in general. It, it still would have been something for him, and then maybe that would have pushed him into more of a championship opportunity down the line. Again, maybe with the US title, or to set him up for a tag title situation where he can form a tag team with someone again. But this using him and then just pushing him aside and then don't use him again for a while, it's not the best thing for him to, especially with the current situation of everyone getting released and just the roster getting cut down. You got to be able to push people and get more people to watch your brand. And if you're going to have more, more stars that you're going to create, and just, oh, take a look at this guy, he's on this brand and he's kicking ass. So it I need to move on from that. But other big moments from Raw this past week, of course, um McIntyre and Raw and Seth signed their contract for the for their WWE Championship match at Money in the Bank. I thought it was a great, contract signing. Of course, granted, with Seth getting the upper hand and just playing that awesome villain that we wanted, that we are loving right now with the Messiah, and just him essentially getting this thought in his head that he's the chosen person, he's the chosen one that should be leading, WWE, and needs the title now, especially after losing to Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, and just this, sick focus look, I want to say, of where he's just trying so hard to be a bad guy, and it works. Just like he did when he was with the Authority, it worked for him. So this whole thing with Drew and his first title defense after WrestleMania being with Money in the Bank, I hope that Drew keeps the title and Rollins, continues to play off and get more heat with his followers, with Buddy, with AOP, and they just continue to build this and draw this out for a lot longer. It's going to be a very fun time to watch, especially in 10 days with Money in the Bank. It's going to be fun. Let's see what else. Yeah, I think that's pretty much like the top stuff that I wanted to talk about with Monday Night Raw coming out on Monday. And then let's get into some NXT. Let's get into the Black and Gold brand a little bit. I haven't really been I kind of been offset with NXT for a little while. Granted, with the virus and no fans, it just hasn't felt that more electric. But with everything that they're doing and that brand, it's still the brand to be, I want to say the brand to watch in WWE. It's like one of the best things. We do have the interim championship tournament still going on. Isaiah Swerve Scott defeating Phantasma in his Group B match up, and then Drake Maverick, the one who's been apparently released and fired that we know of, maybe just storyline, but Drake Maverick defeating Tony Nese in Group A of the interim cruiserweight title tournament. So I love what they're doing with this storyline, with especially with the cruiserweight tournament. You got Drake Maverick, who's essentially gone right now, as far as we all know. He's been told, you've been fired, but he's still in the tournament, and he has an opportunity to get the cruiserweight title. And we all want to see, hopefully, like, he gets the title, or he makes a great impression that he comes back. To that, it's great drama right here. So I just hope that it pays off in down the line, and where we can get a great matchup, with the Irish Ace, Devlin, coming back, being able to come back and get the title back, the undisputed title, and just you know, or even better yet, whoever wins this title tournament gets to do something cool with Devlin down the line with the cruiserweight title. So it's very interesting. And then of course what's been going on with Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano, and how they're being, how their characters have changed, really changed since want to say since everything going on with NXT, essentially changing. It's like, and we're getting some Michael, Flex Mike getting in here. It's like, boo, boy, know, coronavirus cleans. Like, yeah, this virus has just been detriment for a lot. Again, it's just been screwing up a lot of things, and we're gonna talk. I want to talk. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on outside sports. Recent developments. That been breaking. And I just want to give my opinion. So again, it's just this virus. I hope we get through. We're going to get through this. I hope it gets here sooner rather than down the line where it really will hurt. So yeah, back to Gargano and Candice LeRae. They've been essentially on fire recently with how they're changing their characters to be more the hero, but playing the villain type, with Candice, being the role model and being the one who's been giving the girls more, her spot and opportunity, and she's not taking it anymore. And then of course Johnny, saying that I'm the heart and soul. Everyone, cheers for, Tommaso Ciampa. He screwed, all the fans in the back and blah blah blah. And yet I'm the one being the good guy. And when I do things, the right way, I get booed. So it's just this change in attitude that I'm loving about Gargano and Candice LeRae, the essentially NXT's power couple right now down there, and they're just running roughshod essentially with what they're doing. The dinner last week, and now this week with Candice LeRae defeating Cassie Catanzaro, and just doing so much character development and character building of this whole thing, which is awesome to see, and it's very enjoyable. Let's see what else. Charlotte Flair taking on Mia Yim 1-on-1, and for her first, matchup post WrestleMania as NXT Women's Champion for Charlotte, was a good match. And then of course we get Iro Shirai coming out after the match, and I'm coming for you next week. We'll talk about that in a quick bit. North America Championship was on the line with Keith Lee defending against Damian Priest. That was a hell of a good match to watch. Loved the matchup. It was awesome. Damian Priest, I have been really liking this guy. He kind of has that Kevin Nash and Scott Hall feel all rolled into one with what he's doing, which is awesome. Especially coming off of NXT War Games, that was fun, and great to see. And then especially now with trying to get the North American title around his waist, I thought it was, especially using the nightstick, the the collapsible nightstick that the cops use. It's been awesome. Keith Lee, of course, NXT North American champion, has been killing it uh, since winning it from Roddy on NXT, and then just running roughshod and just decimating Dijakovic in their epic series, and then at Takeover Portland, and then this past uh, Takeover Tampa on NXT TV with the triple threat. He's just been on fire, and I've been loving his work. So these two killed, literally tore the house down, and Keith Lee retains the title as they close out NXT last night. We find out that next week, the NXT title and women's title will be on the line next week. So Adam Cole will take on the Velveteen Dream for the NXT Championship, and Charlotte will defend against Io Shirai. That should be hella good. She's cashing in her number one contenders match or opportunity that she won from the ladder match at Takeover Tampa. That was on NXT TV, not the actual pay-per-view event. AEW, we're gonna head on into that for a little bit. AEW, of course, they've been, of course, filming, in droves again, with what's been going on. They were in Georgia for filming for a little bit, and then they're going to be going back to Florida within the next month, I want to say. Actually, within a short while, they're going to go back to Florida and get everything ready for build up for Double or Nothing coming up. And we already know what one of the matches is going to be, because we have the semifinals of the TNT Championship tournament happening last night. Cody taking on Darby Allin in a good match, a really good match. Cody picking up the victory, moving on to the finals, and he's going to be meeting not his brother, but Lance Archer in the finals of the TNT Championship tournament at Double or Nothing. The Lance Archer Dustin Rhodes match, that was pretty good. I thought, of course, it could have been better, but again, flipping back and forth, of course, I kind of missed a lot of it. So, but of course, that's going to be a hell of a good match. Lance Archer taking on Cody for the TNT Championship at Double or Nothing in Florida, which is more than likely going to happen there. Wardlow taking on or defeating Musa. Wardlow has been a good big man, a very good big man, especially with MJF. Granted, he's out for injury right now, so Wardlow is going to get a chance to shine and get that destructive big guy mentality around him now. Besides being MJF's muscle. But he's going to get a lot more time with this. Best Friends taking on Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. Best Friends pulling out the victory. Shawn Spears defeating Baron Black. And Shawn Spears has been good for AEW since leaving WWE and dropping Ty Dillinger and that 10. It's just been fun to watch Shawn Spears. It's been awesome. And now apparently he's been given the blessing from the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be in using the sharpshooter now. He's been given the blessing. He's like, okay, you can rock it. And not only this guy, Shawn Spears, been killing it. I mean, granted, he's had one of the best minds in the game to manage him in Tully Blanchard. So again, this is some, get to see one of the former four horsemen, or sorry, one of the original four horsemen helping out Shawn Spears and giving him guidance. So this is an awesome thing to see. and that essentially was AEW this past week. Um, it talked about next week's NXT tomorrow with SmackDown Live. What we do know is going to be happening tomorrow. If I could get my lovely little thing to work. Yeah. Okay. So phone. It's not going to give me the information I want. Okay, so yeah, we do know that tomorrow, May 1st, we're going to be seeing in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. We're going to see Otis taking on Dolph Ziggler. Their rivalry still continuing from WrestleMania. We're going to see Mandy to meet Carmella in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. That should be good to see. And then Baron Corbin looking to get uh, not really looking to get, but more like knock off Daniel Bryan one on one as they head into Money in the Bank. And then New Day will be taking on the Forgotten Sons. So that should be a good, a somewhat good card for tomorrow night. And then, of course, anything else with probably Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, or even Braun Strowman to get them build up for Money in the Bank. Um, so now, granted, with the short week, talked about what with NFL draft has show, talked with you guys on last past Sunday, so I don't have to talk about this past SmackDown. But I figured with what's been going on and what we've been seeing on the outside of wrestling, let me get this off for you guys because we're not going to talk about what's been going on. We're going to talk about what's been going on in sports now. Get nope, don't want that. You go back to the other. So, but yeah. So with what's been going on, obviously with with the coronavirus going or happening, and a lot everything being shut down, seasons have been shut down. NCAA's spring sports have been canceled. Um, March Madness was shut down, was canceled. NASCAR, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, uh, shut down or suspended or shut down. Little League World Series, today was announced that it's going to be shut down. It's not going to have a Little League World Series for the softball or baseball or anything in their organization. They're not going to have a championship tournament. Granted, if any, when we get they're still allowing areas to have little league if and when things are getting back to normal and things are opening up more and stuff like that. But there will be no Little League World Series in the summer like we're accustomed to in the month of August. For the first time in 75 years, there will be no champion. That really sucks for these little kids that um, they just want to go out and play baseball, and to know that they're not going to have the opportunity to uh, go to play for a world championship and play against the best teams from all 50 states and to play against teams from other countries. That is a real shame for these guys. And I it just really sucks with the after effects of all this coronavirus, what's been going on. And to hear that maybe even college sports is going to be starting up next spring, maybe for after first of the year next spring, and to push everything back to then, which is really surprising to see. Probably have no college football in the fall, and we're having to wait till spring. And granted, everyone that's played a spring sport this year, got is going to get in another year. So if you played baseball, if you played softball, as if you were a spring sport athlete, you get your year back. So that is great to see what NCAA has been doing. Um, and right now with NBA and NHL being, I want to say 80% done, with their seasons. It's a rough estimate. 80% of their season is done. They want to get back and they want to finish. But to say that if basketball can't come back, granted, they're talking, trying to get, figure out some plan, to either finish out the season down in Florida at the ESPN complex there. That's what is being thrown around, that they might be going there to finish off their season. Um, if they for some reason can't finish off their season, this would be the first time that the NBA has had no champion crowned, which would be shocking to say the least. Out of the years it's been here, no champion will be crowned. But of course, they're trying to get to a place where they can come back and come back safely. So that would be something, even if it's no fans, to a point where they show it on, ESPN, they show it on Fox, they show it on FS1, they show it on and even bring back NBC, as long as we get some form of the season finishing or, continuing, we'll be fine with that for right now until there's a vaccine to where we can say, where we can come back. People have the vaccine, when the vaccine's back in our timeline and when we can get it, we'll be happy to come back. But until then, we just want sports back, even if it's at a reduced rate of, not no fans in the stands, which sucks because otherwise you're just going to have a quiet game, of players talking to each other and just deafening silence, which sucks. NHL, of course, they're also trying to come back. Again, their timeline's been pushed back again. Um, they have a more different, different history with no champions. Because if you guys remember, if they do not come back, there's no champion crowned. For some reason, they don't come back for this season. They can't finish off the season because of what's been going on with health and what the officials are saying. Like, hey, don't come back. It's not recommended. This would be the third time that NHL would have no champion. Um, they had the first two times. Granted, the first time that this happened was 1919 with the Spanish flu pandemic. Kind of ironic that this time around we got the coronavirus pandemic that's possibly might be, is holding sports hostage and holding everyone um, from doing their daily lives. And then the second time was the '05 lockout that shortened. Basically, they couldn't come to an agreement with contracts and everything and agreements, and they just said, we're not having a season. So if NHL does not finish out the season and say, we're done, we're just going to come back stronger next season, see where we're at for next season, try to do, finish out get to our postseason stuff with the draft and stuff like that. That would be really bad for, this would be the third time. And granted, before the first time, if I remember, my history, that Seattle was the one that won the Stanley Cup from, if I yeah, pulling this up, it's like, yeah, yeah, Seattle. Actually, scratch that. No, it was Toronto. Vancouver, Toronto won from the NHL, and they beat the Vancouver Millionaires. So, okay, that's even more fun for me. That would be the third time. That's like the third time that Vancouver couldn't get a world championship, especially the Stanley Cup. So that's just even more fun, to realizing you see this. But so yeah, 1919 Spanish flu happens, and there was no Stanley Cup, awarded, uh, because they got to Game 5, with the Montreal Canadiens and the Seattle Metropolitans. They got to Game 5. It was tied. The series was tied 2-2. They did not get a Game 6 in because of the uh, outbreak, and people were getting ill. 101, 105, between 101, 105 degrees, and they called the game with 5.5 hours before it was supposed to start. So it was just literally just crazy. Um, that this is be the that was the first time that there was no champion crowned, because the next year, uh after, Seattle made it back to the finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, but lost to the Ottawa Senators, representing the NHL. So while the Metropolitans did get their Stanley Cup in 1917, they did make it back to 1918. But and then there was nothing in 1919. So this is just crazy. And then of course the '05 lockout with with what happened with no contract, and they just went on strike, and they said we're not having a season this year, is just, interesting to see the NHL's history with, no Stanley Cup finals. Um and then of course baseball. Let's get into baseball a little bit. Of course they've not really officially started their season. Yeah, they were in spring training, and then that got 86th and closed, and then shut down. They haven't started yet, so they can at least push their starting date. Hopefully what we're hearing is that they may be starting in July, if everything, if plans can go, or according to plan, to where they can play games. um so it's going to be very interesting to see, and hearing about a realignment for this year, with having three divisions. It, it's just, there's a lot of options on the table, and to say the least, with everything going on, we don't care. The fans right now do not care if what's going on behind the scenes, as long as we can get baseball, because this is a summer pastime, and hopefully the virus can get corralled long enough for summer, to where we can get some baseball games, even if it's no fans. I mean, Baltimore and the Orioles and um, White Sox did this a couple years, several years ago. They had to play a game with no fans because Baltimore was on lockdown from protests, and they just decided that the ball field was going to be shut down. There was to be no fans, and they played a game there, and Baltimore picked up the win. So it's possible to do a game with no fans, for baseball, but with baseball, with these entities supporting and saying we need the gate, we need the fans in the stands, we need the fans to come to watch the games, at baseball, at basketball, at NHL, at college sports, because of course college, especially with college football, schools rely on the college football money for everything else, for baseball, for softball, for all the other athletic sports. Football is dominant for money in college world. Um, NHL, they need the money so they can pay the players and get everything copacetic with that, so they can pay all their everything that they in their contracts. Same thing with NBA, they need the gate. And of course, MLB, they need the gate because that is a big chunk of change right there, with the fans coming and seeing these guys play. And if they cannot get a season going, they would also have the third time, for a third time, no champion. 1904 was their first time having no champion declared. 1994, because of the short of a lockout season, if it's what I remember, uh, do, do, yeah, it was a shortened. It was a shortened season with a baseball strike back in August of 1994. They shut the season down and they didn't declare a champion, or they had no World Series or no nothing. So again, if this does not happen with baseball having with no season, this would be their third time that they would have no champion. Granted, I hope it doesn't get that far with everything. Hopefully, we get into the warmer weather, the virus, gets contained until at least we get to the point where we get a vaccine. But of course, plans change and everything gets screwed up. And obviously with NFL, starting for them, if they depending on what's going on, they just had their draft, and which was good, fun to see last week. Um, we don't know what their timetable is going to be with them starting in the fall. Well, actually, end of August, going in, or August going into fall. We don't know what's going to be happening with them and their timetable. If they're more than likely going to have to play with fans with no fans in the stands. Um, so it's just up in the air, and hopefully there's could be some better results heading down the line. But there has been some good news. Literally, some good news has been coming. NASCAR, which has been shut down, is going to have their season kick back up. They are going to be starting back up very, very, very soon. Or they're going to be at Darlington Raceway. They're just for 4 races. They're going to, if I could get, yeah. So they're going May 17th. They're going to be 2-week schedule. Uh, they're going to be at Darlington Raceway for 4 races. On May 17th with the Cup Series. 19th, they're going to have the Xfinity Series. And then on May 20th, they're going to have the Cup Series again. So 3 races at Darlington Track. And then they're going to move to Charlotte for 4. The 24th, the 25th, the 26th, and the 27th. And they're just going to, that is what we know right now, an 11-day span. And they're going to have 7 races with 4 Cup Series races. So this is a good indication that organizations are trying to figure out ways that they can work around and get something out there, because as you guys have been seeing on what's been going on TV right now, it's rewind, rewind, rewind. Just rewatch, old stuff. No new content. Granted, with on Sundays on ESPN with The Last Dance recently, that's been brand new. But otherwise, you've been seeing like on FS1, on uh, ESPN. The ESPN this weekend they're going to be having on this weekend they're going to have the Ocho on main on the main ESPN station. They're also going to have Secretarian play on Friday tomorrow night. So yeah, Friday night they're going to have a movie playing on ESPN. So they're trying to everyone's trying to fill time with shows that are either on rerun or just finishing up because of what's been going on. So hopefully with what's been going on now, granted with the NASCAR races and the iRacing, that has been some good entertainment and some good fun to watch. But now with NASCAR coming back for to start up their trying to get their season back up and starting again, because they were like what 2 months into their season. Yeah, actually scratch that. They were like a month and like 1 month into their season and done. So this should be fun to watch in the coming days to see what's going to be happening. And hopefully that we can get some more stuff, and hearing that also maybe even also that UFC is still trying to get a show going and get a fight going. That would be awesome too, because they had their last fight in Brazil, and then everything got shut down after that, and they had no fans for that fight. So that was a weird thing to see with no fans at a UFC fight, a big UFC fight, and then just being so quiet with no fans. But of course, everything's been changed and everything with this virus. So hopefully we get to some normalcy soon, and this thing can be put behind us. And you know what? That is going to be it for me this week. Yeah, with every, I think that's just going to be it. I'm trying to think of anything else I could talk about realistically that is off the top of my head, but I really don't think there is. But let's get through this, the last spiel form with everything. Let me bring that up for you guys. If you guys want to follow us, if you guys are watching this on Facebook, you can follow us, or on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter with your fantasy football, with your football needs at the Flux Network 1. And of course, you should be following the wrestling portion. That's why you're here. You should be following us at FlexNet_PWE. Elite. You can catch us there all the time. If you got questions, you want to talk wrestling, talk football, hit us up there. You know where to find us. Our boys, Flex Matt, Flex Shane, or Sealy Shane, and Season Long says they're getting hyped up. They're getting ready for the fantasy football. Football getting back, trying to get back into the game. Hopefully, they will be off and on as we get closer and closer to the season, talking about who you guys should be picking up in your fantasy leagues, who you should be looking out for, who you should be avoiding. And of course, giving you that great advice for your fantasy football squads. My boy Flex Mike and Cowboy Cam talking, NFL news and any stuff that's going to be going on. They'll be hopping on here. And of course, myself would be hopping on here talking things of wrestling for another day. But that is essentially going to be it for me. And yes, my blue hoodie, Matt, I did everything. I got everything this time. I didn't even have to look back at you to even say anything. He's happy. I know he's happy because he's smiling. He's just smiling knowing that we got everything done that we needed to say. So, for your boy. Oh, yeah. Actually, I got sorry, I forgot one last thing. You can find all of our, you can find us all on the podcast on Apple, Spotify. If we're not on your favorite, on your podcast, you know, area that you're listening to on this, service where you guys listen to podcasts, let us know. We'll get on there and you can listen to us some more and more and more and more and more. But of course, you can always, make sure you guys are following, liking, subscribing, sharing us with the world. I mean, you guys are all online now. Everyone's online. You guys should be able to share with us. Make us grow even larger. Bring in more people to come and enjoy the show that we love to talk about. Talk about football. Talk about wrestling. Talk about other things. Other sports when the time comes. But of course, that is going to be it for me. I am the SnowMan, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.